What's up, party people? This is Jude Mossberg here from Facebook, Jude's Junk Facebook comic book shop and YouTube channel. Also used to be known as Jude Snowboarder on Facebook. So when you do an auction and they cancel your bid or they cancel your order, that is the topic that I wanted to bring up today because there's been some interesting discussion I've had with people online about this. This has happened on it happens on eBay. You hear about that a lot. Happened on Shortbox. So when you have an auction and the owner has the rights to hold his book in his hands, he can always say, oh, I can't find the book. Oh, it got damaged. He can cancel the order for a number of reasons. I know they do that in Shortbox, and they give a negative type rating on Shortbox. And if you're on eBay, you could give a negative rating if someone cancels your order. But then we got into all the other auction houses, and this guy was, and I'm on 30 auction houses a day, so I know the ins and outs of these auction houses. And as far as I know, almost all the other auction houses, I'm not talking about like IG, which isn't an auction house. You know, the buyer retains his book. The IG guys go out and sell it discounted rate at a fee rate, and then the buyer ships the book. Even in that case, the buyer had to make a deal with the IG people. They went and did the marketing. So if he tried to renege, they would be really upset with him because they did all that time and effort marketing. And I don't know how they'd penalize him, but I have a feeling the people that do it through him wouldn't renege. Is that even a bad word these days? They wouldn't go back on their word and cancel the order, but that's not an auction. So all these other auction houses, for the most part, people mail the books to the auction houses. I don't know of a big auction house where you don't mail the book in. Heritage, I can think of a lot of the other big ones. Even in the smaller ones, you mail the book in. Now, the auction house has lost my book, but that's different. And they've actually found it later and then let me buy it because they gave me a refund. Recently, a big auction house lost my ASM 238, and they're refunding me a check as we speak. So it was a 9.8. So auction houses, they get the books in their hands. And if you win the bid, they're going to send it to you. They're not going to renege because it hurts their name, their brand. It's the places where the seller gets to keep the book in his hot little hands. Shortbox auctions, they could cancel on you, maybe without repercussions. eBay, obviously, they can cancel on you without repercussions. And I can't think of another environment where, besides those two, where it's an auction and the owner has the book in his hot little hands. Because he can always say, it lost, the dog ate it, someone stole it, and then he can't ship it, so he has to cancel the order. But I don't know of any other auction houses that have that model where the owner holds it in his hot little hands. So I just won't deal with Shortbox anymore. It was a bad experience. The first time I did an auction with them, I won a book, and there's no penalty for the buyer. Sure, he gets a little mark down somewhere maybe. I try to avoid eBay. eBay is rough. There's other problems I had with Shortbox and eBay. Both of them charge tax. No other auction house charges me tax in my state, but both those do. So their systems aren't set up to, eBay might sell enough in Idaho where they have to charge tax. So everybody will only charge tax if they sell enough in your state. A little hidden fact if you didn't know that. So Shortbox just charges everyone for tax. So I don't shop with them because of the extra fees, because of the bad experience I had with, why waste time on an auction if they could easily just cancel it if I get a screaming deal. And I'm only going to buy it if it's a screaming deal. So not worth the time and energy for that. I proposed a solution to Shortbox. eBay's not going to do it. eBay's a monster. They have their own thing. They'll just blow off a seller if he has bad enough reviews or kick him out or whatnot. But Shortbox, I'd like to see them succeed. I'd like to see them fix, because they have a unique business model. I can't search Shortbox. I'd like to be able to search all of their auctions for a specific book. Right now you have to go into each individual auction, and they might have 3 or 4 a day. So that's hard because I can search on the stuff in the marketplace, but I can't search on the stuff in the auctions, on all the upcoming auctions, which is another reason I don't like them. It's a lot of extra time. But one thing they could do is charge the seller a 20% penalty, which is like a retainer fee. If someone wins the bid and they back out, their credit card automatically gets hit for 20%. And I think it's a great solution. You're not going to have sellers backing out if that's the case. They're going to think twice before putting it up for auction. And they're always going to have to sign the free, they're going to sign away, hey, you can take 20% of the value as a, just for the using their site, affecting their client base. And I thought it was a great solution. Someone really got upset. They must be either working for Shortbox or a big fan of Shortbox. But they thought that was the stupidest thing in the world. They said all these other auction houses, nobody does that. And I had to proceed to say, no other auction houses have the books in the seller's hands except eBay. And so they can't renege on it. So this is specific to Shortbox. I don't know of another auction house where the owners get to hold the books in their hot little hands. Because if they do, then they're susceptible to canceling auctions. And I've never had, in all the other auction houses, and I've bought a lot of them, estate sales. They go through a centralized location. They're physically on house. All the other auction houses, they ship from the auction location, so they're not in the hands of the owner. Anyways, let me know what you think. Maybe give some feedback to Shortbox if they're willing to hear it. Anyways, happy hunting, guys. Sorry if it happened to you. I know it was a bummer when it happened to me. Best thing you can do is just take your business elsewhere. Happy hunting, guys.